director of Tibet House Cultural Center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, New Delhi since 2011. After 15 years of study in Buddhist philosophy, he finished his Geshe Harampa degree PhD in 2002 from Drebung Losling Monastic University. He joined Gyume Tantric College for a year for tantric studies. In 2003, the Office of His Holiness Dalai Lama sent him to Cambridge University, England, for proficiency in English studies. He was a visiting fellow at Girton College, Cambridge University. Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdullah served as the interpreter and translator for His Holiness the Dalai Lama within India and abroad. He is one of the chief editors and co-authors of scientific, philosophical, Buddhist, and secular books with prominent professors in the UK and USA as well as with His Holiness Dalai Lama. These books are being used as centers and institutes all over the world to study more thoroughly on Buddhist philosophy and metaphysics, epistemology, and science. He has translated several important Buddhist philosophy texts and has contributed various papers for national and international conferences. Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdullah profound knowledge of science and interactions with world-renowned physicists gave him the unique ability to teach Buddhist philosophy with a modern twist that many of his non-Tibetan students appreciate. I also would like to thank Tibet House Secretary Tenzin Kungapla for his support and the IT team for the immense support. As well as we all know, mental health and well-being are the core of overall happiness and health. We, the UK Tibetan Nurses Group, would like to contribute not just to our own community, but also to our diverse NHS colleagues and beyond. It is amazing to see how our NHS colleague works so diligently for the betterment and future of the NHS. Before I request Venerable Geshe Dorje Damdullah to lead the meditation and mindfulness session, I would like to mention that Geshe-la will kindly take few questions at the end of the session. I hope you all have a meaningful and peaceful meditation. Now I would like to pass it over to Geshe-la. Thank you so much, Geshe-la.
So Tashidele, by the way, I'm confused. The moderator, you're the main organizer. Your name Samdinla or Tinshudinla?
Something should do in Lao.
Samdinshudla. That's
Oh, let's say.
okay. Thank you, Samdinshudla. This is if we contemplate on His Holiness's thoughts, one of the things that is very close to His Holiness is people taking responsibility. So whenever I see people taking responsibility with respect to sharing thoughts and compassion, the wisdom and compassion, and likewise meditation and so forth, this is something which truly what really triggers a great joy and admiration. So somebody like Samdhin taking responsibility or bringing the people together, and particularly for people who are serving as nurses or any profession, at the same time going through difficulties. Yes, of course, whenever we go do some noble deeds, usually this is the case, that nobler the deeds, more challenging it is. So therefore, the Samdhin Shudla requested if some teaching on meditation can be done and some practice can be done collectively. So what I promise is that yes, I will I'll be there as much as possible. And meanwhile, when where I'll be trapped in some busy schedule for some retreats and so forth, then I would request the others who are equally very good in meditation and having Dhamma knowledge and so forth. So they will help to manage the programs. So with this in mind, before we plunge into this, the meditation, so the idea is that we're going to have like 40 minutes of the instructions and then a little bit of meditation practice, followed by a question answer. So with respect to the say the why we need to have meditation, why do we need to do meditation, and how it helps? This is a very question, very serious question. So for that, first, in the first place, before I jump into what meditation is, I'll be talking about managing our emotions, particularly for the nurses, medical doctors, and any medical the professional. Particularly during the COVID time, we see that there were many doctors and nurses who went through the burnout cases. So the how to prevent these things, how can mitigate these crises. So this is a very serious matter, number one. And number two, that, for example, and this is what in my office, I've been meeting with people, and where I see that the people, they go to the workplace and they have the office works, very the tense office work, deadlines, coming home, again, there's a tension at home. So they don't really find rest at all. So likewise, say the medical professionals like nurses, you are in hospital, then working for like 8, 10 hours, and then coming home, again, you have at home, also there's no peace. So the thing is that how to manage our mental states. And not only home, you have your relatives, your friends around you, and they go through difficulties and you are there to help them. So we see that we're constantly being bombarded with these emotional challenges. So how to manage these things? This is a very serious question. Yes, of course, we know that these are all the psychological. It's all about your psyche, how your mind thinks. So with this in mind, I would brief, first of all, I'd like to quickly share with you how, in a very broad sense, how one can manage the emotions and say the stress. What is stress? This is one question. And how the stress arises, then how the stress can be mitigated. What are the different techniques there? It's not only Buddhist, it's there are many secular systems, there are other religious systems as well, which help us to manage our emotions. So with this in mind, first of all, let me quickly share with you how the stress, mental stress and stress related depression, anxiety, anguish, all these arise within us. So in the first place, say a trigger object. When our mind reacts to the object, and in the first place, before I use word react, I would say our mind interacts with the object. And when interacting with the object, there are two ways of interacting it. One, reactive, and the other, proactive. There are two. So the bodhisattvas on a very high level, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, and so forth, so they are not reactive, they're proactive. We tend to make the mistake between the proactivity and the reactivity. When the reactivity happens, the stress builds up. When the proactivity happens, stress is mitigated and your mind is under control. So the next question is, how does the proactivity happen and the reactivity happen? So for that, it's with the same trigger. For example, say someone who can be very nasty at you, and the how you react, it entirely depends on the individual. For example, the same trigger can trigger compassion in the mind of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Whereas for many of us, the same trigger of being nasty, the nastiness of this person can trigger anger and irritation, agitation within us. So what makes the difference? Is this the same person, same mind, but how the same trigger the gives rise to two different emotional states. One which is very compassionate, loving, at ease, and the other which triggers agitation, stress, anxiety, and so forth. So it entirely depends on your cognitive thought process. So for that matter, the first we need to know how the mind works, how the mind works so that the mind can eventually culminate in the form of agitation, or it can culminate in a form of the calmness or compassion. So for this, the mind, there's what is known as the mind and the mental factors. Mind and the mental factors. Mind meaning a mind in general. For example, the say hospital, say London Hospital, let's say London Hospital. London Hospital is a very generic term. So when we say that London Hospital is very effective, it's very generic statement. Now, if I ask somebody from London Hospital may ask me, precisely tell me which department in the hospital is effective, which department. So now when I ask this question, you're going to the details. For example, your mind. Oh, His Holiness has a very calm mind, and somebody else has a very disturbed mind, very agitated, confused mind. So that is very generic mental state or generic statement. Now, next is what precisely in His Holiness's thinking makes the calmness, gives rise to the calmness, whereas for others, agitation. This is the question. So for that, likewise, when we say that, oh, she's a very calm person, she's a very agitated person, or he's a very calm person, or a agitated person, it entirely depends on the thinking pattern of the mind. There are various functions of the mind. For example, let's say that some people may be very compassionate, but may not be so cognitively active. IQ level may not be too high. And some people may be IQ level may be very high, so smart, but effectively very cold person, not compassionate. So we see that there are different people there. And some people, they're very good in the working, they doing some household chores. But the moment it comes to meditation, the person may start sleeping, falling asleep. Whereas some people may be very good at meditation, but the moment with the household chores, they are totally ineffective, hopeless. And some may be so good in mathematics, but not good in biology. Some may be so good in biology, but not good in mathematics. So what determines these differences in the thought process is what is known as for this we have to know the mental functions. And the mental functions, how many such mental functions are there? Ability to focus, ability to see things very broadly, ability to think fast, and ability to empathize. So these are various functions, and there are hundreds and billions of such functions are there with each one of our mind. Where there's a mind, the mind has all these functions. But in some cases, one aspect of the function is stronger and others are weaker. And for others, what is weaker in others may be stronger in one person and weaker in others. So our job is to see what are the functions of the mind, and then you learning about these and then see how to manage emotions. Because once you know how the mind works, then you can manage the emotions so well. And when you see that how the mind works and how the mind eventually, say, the drags us down to depression, anxiety, stress, and so forth, then you will know how to undo that the moment you know how the mind works. So therefore, to have the knowledge of this psychology, particularly the Buddhist psychology, which I call as the empirical psychology. Empirical meaning something which we can experience. It's not something that you have to believe in Freud or or Jungian and so forth, that you learn about it and you said, actually, I can see that with myself. I can see that with my friends, with my dad, mom, children, or whatever. We can see that happening in yourself and in others. So this is known as empirical psychology. So having said this, our mind, how the mind works with respect to the different functions, is that as I said earlier, there are millions and endless number of the mental functions there. Of these, there are five which are particularly of great importance. And if you learn about these five, then you will know the different methods of meditation. And these five are also known as the ever-present, five ever-present mental factors. And Tibetan, we call them as kundonga, kundo, kundo, five ever-present mental factors. Where there is a mind, these five functions happen. But for some, the first two may be very active, and the third may not be too active, or fourth may be not be active, and fifth one may not be active. For others, maybe the third one is so active, first two are not active, and so forth. So the thing is that we need to learn these five, and just by learning these five, even to have a good knowledge of these five, and then try to see how your mind works, and these five things, how these five things are operating within your mind. And then when you feel upset, for example, said, or the workplace, somebody says that this is your work, it's your duty. And then how you react, you may react very impulsively, they feel so offended, take it very personally, whereas others may take it very lightly. Oh yeah, you are right, I'm sorry, done. So, now look how the say when you take it very personally, and take it as feel so offended by somebody saying that this is your duty, and then look what is the consequence of that. Then you go through, say the uncontrolled overthinking, and then they say then you lose your sleep, you lose your appetite, and mentally you feel so disturbed at going back home. You feel so disturbed, and you may not even have a very friendly the say interaction with your family members, and family members feel so disturbed. So look how if you know how the mind works, we can easily undo many of these things. Okay, with this in mind, what then? Next question: what are the five? The first one is contact. Number two is attention. Number three is discrimination. Number four, feeling. Number five, intention. Let me repeat it. Number one, contact. Number two, attention. Number three, discrimination. Number four, feeling. Number five, intention. In Tibetan, number one, contact is rekpa. Number two, attention is yilachepa. Number three, discrimination, dushe. Number four, feeling, sorwa. Number five, intention, semba. So these are the five. Of course, they are like hundreds, and the Buddha taught at one point, the Buddha taught 51 of these. 51 of these. And then if you read Abhidhamma Kosh by Acharya Vasubandhu, we see 300 of these mental factors were taught. But if you learn about these five, that would be good enough for us to learn how to manage emotions. So of these five, let's say, what happened was that during the COVID time, one Italian group, usually I go there, I visit Italy to do whole one retreat, 10-day retreat there. And because of the COVID, I could not go there. And they requested if I can do online teaching. We did that. And then at the end of the talk, a lady asked me a question that, what are you talking about, the compassion, managing emotions? They look so good. But in practical terms, given that now is the COVID time, lockdown, and I cannot go out, and it's so gloomy, it's so demoralizing, and to stay at home all the time. And at the most, I can go up to a terrace. From there, when you look it down, I can see the street empty. Otherwise, the street, which used to be extremely lively, crowded, now is so empty. It makes me feel so hollow and sad. So how to apply this teaching in this case. So I said that I showed that the street is empty. The lady said, yes, it's very empty and very good, very sad. And then I told her that if I were you, I'll be feeling so happy. And she said, why? Because that this street is empty because of the government rule saying that nobody should come out, everybody should be locked down. And there's a reason there, so that the COVID does not spread. And these people, they're following the rules. And they're following the rules so that you will not contract COVID. They will not bring COVID to you. So when you see these streets empty, these people, in a way, they're telling you that you just go up and we are being nice to you. We will not bring COVID to you. And if you don't agree with me, or if you don't believe in me, go up the terrace, look down, you see the street is empty. We're not there. And when you see that, you should be feeling so grateful to the people who are not coming on the street, who are following the rules, that they are not bringing the COVID to you, and you're being protected. So therefore, you should be feeling that you don't contract COVID. Is it good or bad? It's very good. When you say good, do you feel pleasant or unpleasant? Very pleasant. There's no room for gloominess. There's no room for sadness. And she said, that's true. So this is where the thing is that when you change your discrimination, your perception of the reality, then okay, now let me work with these 5. The first, the contact. Let's say this lady goes up and comes in her eyes come in contact with the empty street. Contact. Then pay attention. It used to be very lively street, very crowded, lively street. Is it really empty? Answer is yes. Discrimination. Yes, it is empty. No people there. Discrimination. Then the feeling, how you see this empty street, as positive or as negative. Oh, it used to be so lively before, now it's empty. Means the feeling will be sad. It used to be lively, now it's no more lively. It's very sad. Whereas the street being empty because that the people who contracted COVID, they're not coming in the street. So they will not bring COVID to me. If you think in this, if the discrimination is rich, then the feeling will be pleasant feeling. Oh, I'm protected. When you say I'm protected, you feel pleasant or unpleasant. Of course, natural pleasant feeling. With the pleasant feeling, then the next is the intention. Intention is the one, mental factor of intention is the one which makes the mind to move, which makes the mind to react or embrace. Now here, when the feeling is pleasant, the mind will naturally embrace. When we feel pleasant, we want it. Because we want it, it will embrace it, will not reject it. So the mind will not reject it. Mind will embrace. Embracing is healing. Rejecting is stressful, because to reject, for example, say, oh, the street is empty, streets are empty, used to be very lively, now everything's gone, so sad. So your mind does not, the unpleasant feeling comes. And this was the trigger of unpleasant feeling. Trigger of the unpleasant feeling is the street being empty, which otherwise used to be lively. So you try to reject that. I don't want to see the street as empty. I want to see the street as full of people. But it does not happen. So the mind continues to reject the trigger, continues to reject. When it rejects it, it exerts loss of energy. So the medical professionals during the COVID time, they overwork mentally. They're also human beings. That the COVID, they can also hit them. So they also have the fear. So they don't want the fear, but the mind has to reject it. But the mind cannot, while the mind rejected, but in reality, you cannot reject it. You have to go there to work. As such, the rejection continuously happens, and meanwhile, so much energy is consumed. When energy consumed, this is what is known as burnout. Burnout. So you feel this burnout because of that situation. So now the thing is that if you don't, what is a burnout? What is a stress? Stress is the mental intention rejecting the stimulus of the unpleasant feeling. Let me repeat it. What is burnout? What is stress? Stress is a mental intention which rejects the stimulus or the trigger of the unpleasant feeling. That is the stress. So stress is happening on the number 5, on level number 5, which is the intention. So if you don't want if you don't want to have this stress, what should we do? We should make this intention not to reject the trigger. How to make this intention not to reject the trigger? By changing the feeling from unpleasant to the pleasant feeling, by changing that. How to change the feeling from unpleasant to pleasant? By changing the discrimination. For example, in this case, oh, now the streets are empty. I'm so glad the COVID not well with the COVID is the say far away from me. I'll not contract COVID. I'm protected from the COVID. So if this is your discrimination, the feeling will be a pleasant feeling rather than, oh, now the street is empty. Once upon a time, it used to be very lively, very pleasant thing to see. So instead of that perception, if you change the discrimination to the street is empty, now I'll be free from COVID. COVID not attract me, not attack me. So that way, the feeling will be pleasant. So change the discrimination from from one way to the other way, so that the unpleasant feeling will be changed to a pleasant feeling. Now, how to change the discrimination? For that, you cannot change the contact and the attention, but you can broaden, you can enrich the contact and the attention. How to enrich the contact and the attention? By making the information, by meeting with the information, broader information, good information. But some people say that the moment we get up, we watch the news, and the news is so demoralizing. It's bombarded with wars. It's so demoralizing to see the news all the time. Yes, of course. It's the people who are making the news, who are in the media. Their job is to sensationalize things. So with this, then this is how they make money for themselves. They do survive. So there are so many good things happening in the world, not only bad things. There are like good people like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, with the son of the world. There are so many good people. There are so many good things happening. But the good things that nobody pays attention to this. So therefore, nobody buys the news. When the bad things are related, then everybody buys it. So therefore, this is how they make money. So the thing is that we should be very wise enough to make sure that the information that you acquire, that you take, that's a correct information, complete information, and systematic information. So the contact and the attention should be with the correct information, complete information, and systematic information. With this, you become so rich. You become so rich in picking up, for example, say here in Tibet House for the altar. If something is not working, if I have so many other things, other choices, oh, if this container doesn't work, if it's too big, then I have so many choices. From there, I can pick up a smaller one, still smaller one. But if there's only one choice, whether I like it or not, then this is even though it doesn't look good, but then there's only choice. So therefore, if your information is so less, then the things you don't have much choice other than to go for only one or two kinds of discrimination. With this, you have no choice other than go for the unpleasant feeling. With the unpleasant feeling, there's no choice other than go for the intention to reject. Reject intention of the mind, mental factor intention to reject the situation, the trigger. It gives rise to stress. And you continue doing that, you will burn out. You'll feel the burnout so quickly. And your health can go down. And gradually can also, all forms of illnesses, diseases can be contracted. And autoimmune disorder can also happen. And then whatever problems that you have can be accelerated because of your immunity going down because of this stress. Okay. So having said this, it's so important for us to have a very broad knowledge, correct knowledge, correct knowledge, complete knowledge, profound, not just surface, complete knowledge, and say the width and the depth both. So with this, you have a great lot of choices to create a particular set of the desired discrimination, which can trigger the pleasant feeling, not the unpleasant feeling. For example, like His Holiness, for His Holiness, any situation that arises in the world, for him, he has a broad knowledge, deep knowledge that His Holiness can trigger pleasant feeling all the time. As such, the mind will never reject, will only embrace things. For example, nasty person is there. Feel compassionate rather than feel irritated. Feel compassionate because his thinking is so broad and rich to see the limitation of the other person, limitation of the other person's drawbacks, because the other person's like a small, immature baby will, as a little child, you don't expect a little child to talk about PhD program. A little child will only talk about teddy bear. So little child only knows how to complain. So this is what His Holiness sees these people like us, small children, like small children. So therefore, for us to really have a broad knowledge, deep knowledge, with the help of the contact and attention, so that our discrimination, you can have a rich array of discrimination from which you can pick up that particular desired discrimination, which will give rise to the pleasant feeling instead of unpleasant feeling. With the pleasant feeling, what happens? You like the pleasant feeling. So the mind will not reject. Intention will not reject. It'll embrace. Embracing is healing. So this is the basic, the basic premise used in Buddhist psychology taught by the Buddha, so that we can change our mind from what is technically known as unpleasant feeling to the pleasant feeling, the undesirable state to the desirable state, and more technically is known as state of samsara to nirvana. Samsara doesn't mean, it's a theological, is a religious word. It's a state of misery. And the freedom from misery is known as nirvana, as simple as that. Okay, so having said this, now let me plunge into, say, what are the ways and means when our mind becomes agitated, how to manage these things. There are, let's say, broadly speaking, there are 4 ways of managing our mental state, 4 ways. And these 4 ways involve meditation. So the overarching principle of these 4 things is known as meditation. So in a loose sense, what is meditation? Meditation is a system of habituating your mind to a virtuous object. Let me repeat it. A system. Meditation is a system of habituating our mind to a virtuous object. So what gives rise to virtue, which gives rise to increasing your joy, increasing your ease, that is known as meditation. And broadly speaking, the meditation is of 2 kinds. Broadly speaking, meditation is of 2 kinds. Number 1, analytical meditation, and the other one is single-pointed meditation. Analytical meditation and single-pointed meditation. And why do we need these two kinds of meditation, analytical and single-pointed? Let me give you a simple example. For example, let's say that you want to read a book, and in the midnight, you want to read a book, and suddenly there's a power cut. So what do? We say light a candle. Let's say light a candle, and the candle should have two qualities. One, the candlelight should be very bright. Should be very bright. If it's very feeble, then it doesn't help you to read the books. So it should be very bright, number 1. Even though the candlelight can be very bright, but from the corner of the room, if there's the wind blowing, then the light will be very flickery. To make sure that, again, with the flickery light, it strains your eyes. So we have to make sure that the light is very bright and it is very steady, not flickery. So what is that brightness? Brightness is the metaphor for the sharpness of your mind. Your mind should be very sharp. And the steadiness of the light is the metaphor for our mind to be stable and steady. So we have to train our mind in these two ways. One, to train our mind to make it very sharp and intelligent. And number two, that is very steady and stable. Two. So the training of the mind to make it very sharp is known as analytical meditation. Training of the mind to make the mind sharp is known as analytical meditation. For example, say even as a nurse, some nurses, they naturally they can be extremely intelligent, and then you're the main boss. They have to give you some instruction, and you're too smart to know whatever the boss is saying. So the boss really likes what are you doing. You're being extremely effective. Whereas some requires to be taught A, B, C, D, all the details, and the work is so clumsy. Whereas others work are so cleanly done and so effectively done. So this is all determined by the natural intelligence of the person. And this intelligence can be learned. We can improve that intelligence. So this particularly with respect to managing emotions, or the intelligence plays a very important role. And we have to sharpen this intelligence, and it can be done. Anybody, the mind of anybody can be sharpened. For that, we require analytical meditation. And the other one is single-pointed meditation to make the mind steady and stable. For example, let's say that if it is not steady, what's the problem? Say you are in an OT, operation theater, and you, as a nurse, assisting the doctor, and it's a very critical surgery, and somebody says something, or somebody says something, one, what do you call it, instrument or whatever, falls and makes a sound, and your mind is instantly distracted. It's distracted, and so the surgery goes wrong. So whereas now this surgery is the priority, this is the main. Now, if I'm not to miss my mind even for a second, I should be there, so attentive. And even if something, if there's some sounds happen, but your mind is not distracted. This is again a training. We require training. Some people have a natural the talent. Some people don't have that. If you don't have this, we can train in this. So for that, we require what is known as the single-pointed meditation, and the other one is analytical meditation. And to make it more, to put it more technically, single-pointed meditation is known as shamatha meditation. Shamatha meditation. In Tibetan, shine gom, jogom, shine jogom. And the other one is analytical meditation, is known as the Hartong, or special insight meditation. In Tibetan, Hartong, Jegom. Analytical meditation is Jegom. And single point meditation is the Jogom, and Jegom too. So say now let me quickly share with this, because this is the ground. If you don't know this, then the meditation becomes just like a ritual. And yes, it'll prove to be helpful, but you don't know how it is helping you. So whereas if you know these background information, then you become very confident. Okay. So now how your emotions are managed. For example, let's say somebody says that, okay, it's your duty. It's not my duty, it's your duty. So the blame game happens. And then instantly your mind gets provoked. You feel so agitated, irritated. How dare you say like this? So which means that your mind is like, say, just imagine that there is a say a cotton ball and a metal ball, a metallic ball and a cotton ball. If the wind blows, which is going to be moved very quickly? The cotton ball is going to be moved very quickly because it's so light. Whereas a metallic ball will not be moved by the wind. It'll stay so firm. So even if somebody says that it's your duty and say you're blaming me, but your mind will not easily be moved. Your mind easily moves means like a cotton ball. So you have not trained to stay firm. If you learn how to stay very firm with a single point of meditation, then your mind will not be moved very easily. It will not become impulsive. As such, even if somebody says that is your mistake or you stupid or whatever, somebody may blame you, somebody may criticize, accuse you, but your mind will not react. Not react because you don't react. You get the chance to think. You get the chance to think. The accusation, is it fact based or without fact? Without fact, is baseless or if, with a factual base. If there's a factual base, yes, you apologize. So what's the problem? If it is the baseless accusation, then you can explain it. You can explain it, and you can justify that it is not your problem. You can justify that without anger, without giving into anger. So, and this will help us not to be impulsive. Being impulsive, this is a big issue. Oftentimes, we say things which should not be said at that time, and we regret later. So therefore, without the training in the single point of meditation, the problem is that you become very reactive. When you become reactive, all problems are created. What? We say things which should not be said. You're being not mindful. You're being reactive. You're being impulsive. So we say things what is not to be said. We say things at the wrong time, to the wrong person, in the wrong situation, and the wrong amount. And then problems are created unnecessary. And later you regret, I don't mean that. Why should you have to say, I don't mean that? Right from the beginning, if you have a sense of mindfulness, not to react impulsively, I don't mean that means you said something which you do not mean. And if you don't mean that, why do you say this? Impulsively. Impulsively means you have no control. That is like the cotton ball. Cotton ball. When the wind blows, the cotton ball does not have the freedom to sit stably. It'll be carried away impulsively. So this is, for this we require what is known as to manage this kind of mental state, impulsive mental states, we require stability meditation. We require the single point of meditation or shamatha meditation. This is one thing. Then the next is the analytical meditation. Within the analytical meditation, there are many kinds. And one, say, primarily of the various kinds, I'm going to give you, say, the three primary, meditations under the analytical meditation. One is where our mind agitation usually is related to, say, our mind being reactive based on the selfishness. Being reactive based on the selfishness. So reactive means reactive and driven by the selfishness. It amounts to harming others. You disregard others' feelings. So in other words, harming others. Our mind behave in such a way to harm others, to create disturbance on others, disturbance in the environment, disturbance on others. This is one problem. So this is because our mind, for example, let's say that with respect to, for example, your child is, they say something bad happens to your child, you feel so sorry, very sad. Something bad to your neighbor's child, Oh, you may feel sorry, but then the how you are hurt is very different. When it comes to a child, it's very different in they're comparing that with, and for some, in some cases, when a child is the not going doing not doing good in studies, you feel sad, and your neighbor is better than your child, you feel jealous. Uh, whereas if your child is better than your neighbor, you're very happy. But your neighbor's child is better than your child, you feel unhappy. So one time when I was in Israel, there was a couple, and their child, their daughter, is not too smart, and there is another girl who is younger than their daughter, and who is exceptionally smart, intelligent. And then we were talking about the younger girls, the capabilities that the mother of that girl, the second girl, the elder girl, she remained quiet. And when the younger girl left, and the mother of the elder girl is, very straightforward. She said that I don't want to make any good remarks about another child in front of my child. My child feels offended. So look, this is how our mind works. So for that, the thing is that we need to learn that finally what disturbs you. What disturbs you is the one one major reason for the disturbance that you feel is that you go to disturb the environment. You go to disturb others. You go to harm others, in other words. So this mindset needs to be mitigated. For example, the common example that I give is that the train, for example, if the train has to go to Dharamsala for His Holiness's audience, and then if your train is going opposite direction of Dharamsala, first you have to stop the train. First stop, otherwise it goes away from Dharamsala. So you have to stop the train. Once stop, then you have to take it to reverse the train towards Dharamsala. So stopping the train is why? Because the train is going the opposite direction. Instead of harming others, you feel disturbed. Those people who are, the more the selfish the person is, more the people tend to deceive others, cheat others, harm others. You are very, very unhappy yourself. And superficially, the person may look so successful and competent, but deep inside is so weak, so hurt. Whereas somebody who's very compassionate, deep inside, very confident, and the strength, there's a strength there. So the first thing that we need to do is to manage our emotions from disturbance and to the peace, to the calmness, is first to train our mind to stop harming others. Then number two is once the train stops, then they reverse the course of the direction, reverse the course of the train. So that is engage in the virtues, practice of compassion. Number two, first stop harming others, then practice compassion. And then finally, this is something so unique of the Buddha's teachings. That is the emptiness concept. So the first one is they stop harming others. Number two, the practice of compassion. Number three, the wisdom of emptiness. So now let me share with you how these three practices, they help you. These three practices fall under what is known as the analytical meditation. On the first practice, stopping harming others. So this practice will help you if you learn how to stop harming others. It is like fencing yourself. For example, if you are a tiny sapling, cows can easily eat you up. So you don't have the capacity to protect yourself. So whereas if you're fenced, then the cows cannot get you. So this is how you are protected. So stop harming others. You are protected yourself, number one. Emotionally, you are managed. This is number one. Number two, that compassion, where you become, by being in the fence, you should not remain stepping all the time. You should keep growing. Keep growing. You become quite strong. When you are quite strong, remove the fence. And then sometimes you may have some mangoes growing. Give mangoes to the cows. And the cows can, sometimes the cows may come to eat you up, but you also strong. So with a practice of compassion, what happens is that you can go to the community, you can go to the in the crowd, and say you combat with the non-conducive factors head-on collision. And then, yes, of course, with compassion, you most of the time you are the winner. You can be successful in combating the opponents. Opponents doesn't mean the human beings, your emotions. Your emotions. You combat with your emotions, although the say emotional, what triggers the emotions, because the external factors. Even though you meet the external factors, still you can combat your emotions. That is number 2. Then the number 3, wisdom of emptiness. The third one, wisdom of emptiness, is the one where it's like, say, it is like, say, a very, very powerful the soldier having the capacity to destroy all your enemies. So with the wisdom of emptiness, all your emotions can easily be calmed, easily be managed, or easily be subdued. That is the power of the wisdom of emptiness. And for these 3 things involve analytical meditation. Okay, so these are the ways. The first one, whereas the single point meditation, of the 4, the first one, single point meditation, where you gradually transform yourself, metaphorically speaking, from a cotton ball to a metallic ball, where your mind remains very steady, even though you meet with the unconducive factors which can trigger agitation within you, but your mind will not react so fast, so that unnecessary agitation will subside. Number 1. With the second practice of stopping harming others, fencing yourself, this will help you to grow, protect you. Meanwhile, you have to keep growing, protect you in stopping your negative thoughts, negative words, negative physical actions. Number 3, compassion. Once the negativity subsides to a great extent, then the practice of compassion will help you to manage your emotions, although you do encounter with the triggers of the destructive emotions, but you can still, you will still manage to manage your emotions successfully. Then finally, the wisdom of emptiness. This will just eliminate the negative emotions, no matter what external factors that you meet with. Your negative emotions will instantly, it's like, say, a boiling tupa, or boiling milk, the overflowing, put cold water over this, instant just will stop overflowing. It'll just stop there instantly. So is the third one, the fourth one is extremely effective way to mitigate the power of the negative emotions. So today, today what we're going to do, we're going to quickly learn about the first one, where is the single pointed meditation. This is very important for us to learn how to manage emotions, particularly how to maintain the calmness, the composure of your mind under different situations, which can otherwise trigger the unnecessary impulse or mental agitation. Okay, so this is known as shamatha meditation. So for this, the 4 things to keep in mind. 4 things to keep in mind. The first, the body posture. Number 2, focal point. I will explain each one of them. The first, body posture. Number 2, focal point. Number 3, identifying the errors of meditation. Number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Let me repeat this. Number 1, the body posture. Number 2, focal point. Number 3, identifying the errors of meditation. Number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. 4. The first, the body posture. The body posture is extremely important for us with respect to the training in meditation. This body posture is known as the Namnang Chudun. Namnang is Buddha Varichana. Sankhya number Nase. Buddha Varichana's position. One is cross-legged position. Number one, cross-legged position. But this is not mandatory. And if you have any knee problems, backache problems, so forth, don't force yourself to sit cross-legged. You can sit in whatever position is good for you. Then the next is body upright. This is unless you have backache problem, you are advised to sit with the body upright. And then if possible, don't lean against the support. Don't lean against the support. Always do the body upright plus not reclining against the support. This is number two. While the body is upright, make sure that your body is flexible. It should not be rigid. It should be flexible. Number two. Number three, your head tilted forward a little bit. Head tilted forward a little bit. The next, your eyes not closed. Eyes half open. 45 degrees cast down. Half open, 45 degrees cast down. And many people say that with eyes open, you cannot meditate. But eyes closed is easier. Yes, is easier in the beginning, but later you see that this is a great mistake. It is more harm than benefit. So eyes half open, 45 degrees cast down. Naturally, don't squint your eyes. And then the tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate to avoid excessive accumulation of saliva in the mouth. And the teeth and the lips in the nasal course. Breathe normally. Don't force your breath. Don't control your breath. Don't force your breath. Don't control your breath. Breathe normally. And your right hand on your left hand, and the two thumbs joining, forming a triangle. Place the two hands on your lap in a restful state. This is your body posture. Okay. Next is the focal point. Focal point meaning what are you going to focus on when you're meditating? There are so many versions of focal point. The one that we're going to study here is a very simple one. It's just to visualize a tiny white dot, like 2 mm or 3 mm in diameter between nose and the upper lip, a tiny white dot. And the multitasking. Your eyes should not be looking at it. It's your mental consciousness which should be looking at it, should be watching it. And while your mental consciousness is watching this, visualizing this white dot, multitasking, counting your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle one, breathe in, breathe out. Cycle two. This is what you're going to do for 5 minutes. Okay, this is your focal point. So these two things happen simultaneously. For some people, it may be a little difficult at the outset, but practice. And then after 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, if you still find it difficult to do the two things together, then let me know. Then you can switch to one of the two, either the dot or the breath. So better would be the breath. Okay. Number three is identify the errors of meditation. Errors of meditation, they are, broadly speaking, two. One is laxity, in Tibetan, Chingwa. Another one is the excitement, Gurpa. Chingwa and Gurpa. Chingwa is where the mind becomes, your mind becomes heavy, feels sinking, drowsy. That is the laxity, Chingwa. And the other one is Gurpa. Gurpa is the mental excitement, overactivity of the mind. Your mind gets excited, scattered here and there, distracted. This is Gurpa. Okay, these are the two the mental errors while meditating. And next, if you feel that your mind falls under one of these two problems, one of these errors, then apply the remedy. Apply the remedy number 4. Apply the remedy when the errors happen. A remedy twofold. One is introspection and the other one is mindfulness. Introspection is Sheshin in Tibetan. Sheshin. And mindfulness is Temba. Temba and Shishin. Mindfulness and introspection. Two. So, what is the job of the introspection? Job of the introspection is to keep an eye on your mind to see if your mind is effectively meditating, or it is distracted, or it is falling asleep. So this is a job of the introspection. Once the introspection senses that your mind is not meditating, your mind is distracted or in a relaxed state, then apply the mindfulness. Mindfulness is like the robe. So you have a pet dog, you lose a pet dog, you first go in search of the pet dog. That is the introspection. Once you find the pet dog somewhere, then tie the dog with the rope and bring it back home and tie it to the pillar of the home. So likewise, the mindfulness is like the rope to bring the mind back to the intended object of the meditation. So these are the 4 points to remember. Ready? We will try this meditation for 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. And I'm just wondering if there are questions. And if there are any questions, I'd like to first entertain the questions. Following that, again, we'll do another set of the meditation. I just something should let do it.
Uh, Lo chat box na kimdu lo. Um, no, there's no questions, Kehila.
Okay, so
Unless
basically, say for the meditation, I want about the eyes not uh, closed, the need for eyes not to be closed, and so forth. If you have any question with respect to the meditation or any other thing which bothers you, that would be very helpful for all of us. Any questions? If you have any question, just raise your hand.
someone has a
No.
question, though.
Yes.
Um, my name is Jamba and I'm a doctor. I'm sorry, my name appears in meditation there for some reason. Sorry about that. Okay, so thank you for the excellent talk. I really, really enjoyed it. What I wanted to ask was, you stressed a lot about the posture, and I've heard other meditators saying that it's really not necessary what posture you are in. You can either lie down, you can stand up, you can sit up. So how does this particular posture benefit more than the other postures that I've just mentioned?
Okay, thank you so much. So your question is about the posture. Some say that you can meditate in whatever position you lie down or you're going the metro. Um, in London, what do you call it? You call it subway or metro?
Underground, I guess, the tube.
Underground. In Singapore, it's what is that? MRT. In India, metro. Okay. Say um, who's correct? I would say the first thing is that the say there are two choices where you're at home. You're at home, you have the luxury to sit properly, and versus you are at workplace where you have to travel by underground train. You have to travel where you cannot sit like this, and yet you have to spend like 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And so can we do meditation there? I cannot sit like this. It's so weird. And so what should I do? This question. And some people may say that the my job is to take care of the sick people in the nursing homes. So then I get little time in the at the what dining hall or the staff room, and we can just sit on a chair for some time. Can we meditate? Yes, the answer is yes. You can meditate in any posture at the possible. That's fine. But where you have the luxury to sit upright, your own space on a proper cushion, so forth. So there, believe it or not, I'm sharing this with you, and later you check it yourself. Let's say that some people, what they do is that you say, particularly in London in the winter, cold weather, and then you don't want to get up. It's very cold. Also, I'll do meditation while sleeping, right? And then you sleep into meditation. Day one, you may succeed. Day two, believe it or not, no meditation, you fall asleep. So the point is that your body posture, lying down, the tendency is you to fall asleep. Whereas somebody, the person cannot get up, person's sick, person's bedridden. For that person, it's very strange. For that person, lying down, you can meditate. For those people who can actually get up and out of laziness, out of the coziness in the bed, lie down, meditate. Day one, you may succeed. Day two is going to be because of the failure, you'll fall asleep right there. So, number one. Number two is even the body is upright. I said, don't lean against the support. So say I have a support here. If I lean against the support and I do my meditation versus not lean against support, do a meditation, you will see the stark contrast. You will see the stark contrast between the two. Where your meditation, where you are not leaning against the support, your mind is so fresh and rigor. There's rigor there. Versus you lean against the support and then you just do meditation. The moment you lean against the support, the rigor of mind will drop instantly. And particularly when you learn to meditate, when you practice meditation for some time, for about like maybe a few months or 1-2 years, you will see the difference very easily between your eyes closed and eyes open. You will again see the stark contrast there. Later on, when you become really, 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 really good, I would say like an expert in a meditation, truly an expert, not just good, truly an expert in meditation, then you lie down, you lean against a support, whatever, and they will not affect you as much. But for people like us, ordinary people like us, you and me, the external position, the position makes a huge difference in a meditation. Thank you. It's a very good question. Any more questions?
Kishla, there's a
Thank you.
message in the chat box
Yes.
from Hamula. It says, Tashidelek, my question is, how many times can I do single pointed meditation, and also for how long in a day?
Okay, this is a good question. The one in term, the text says that the say more number of sessions and shorter duration. Initially shorter duration. For example, we did for 5 minutes. But if you are to begin a meditation, I would not suggest you to go for 5 minutes. I would suggest you to do just 20 cycles of the breath. Breath in, breathe out, cycle 1. Breath in, breathe out, cycle 2. You do it for 21 cycles. 21 cycles equals 1.5 minutes. It's not 5 minutes, because 5 minutes for a beginner is a very long duration. And if it's a long duration, some people, they may have an amazing body posture, but they meditate for 1 hour, 2 hours. They're not actually meditating. Their mind is going through laxity or excitement. And this is not a meditation. This is more harm than of any benefit. It's like turning the medicine into poison. Meditation is to manage your mind. Now the mind becomes so badly habituated in the wrong direction of the laxity and excitement. And now you have no remedy to fix the true problems. Because meditation is to fix the problem, and the meditation made you to build this bad habit. So our job is to make sure that initially you can do like in the mornings, you can do like 3 times of the 3 sessions, like 21 cycles of the breath 3 times, which is like 1.5 minutes into 3 is like 4.5 minutes or 5 minutes in total. And then evening, and if possible, do at the same time all the time, if possible. If you have the luxury of choosing your time for the meditation, then I would suggest that do it at the same time. For example, if you do the meditation at morning at 6 o'clock, do it at 6 o'clock always, and evening again at 5 o'clock, do it at 5 o'clock all the time. Whereas if the time is not really in your hand, then whenever you get time, you can do that. So this is for time being, do 3 times in the morning, 3 times in the evening, and then continue to do this for the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. And then you can prolong if you see that the just mental laxity and mental excitement do not visit you too often, you can maintain the stability of the mind for the say adequately good enough, then I would suggest you to extend the meditation duration to 5 minutes. 5 minutes 2 times in the morning, 5 minutes times in the evening. And within 5 minutes, believe it or not, the mental distraction, mental laxity can come like 20, 30, 40 times within 5 minutes. It's amazing how the mind is so fast. It can so quickly slip into laxity and excitement. It's very quick. Within 5 minutes, believe it or not, 20 to 30 times the mental excitement can happen, or the gobat and chingwa laxity can happen. So when you are able to succeed in this meditation for 5 minutes, then you can extend to 10 minutes. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening in one go. So this is how we keep extending. And then by the time you're able to like half an hour in one go and effectively, you're good in meditation. Then you can gradually think of doing it more professionally for like 1 hour a day. Yeah, good. More questions?
Lundubla has raised his hand.
Sorry,
Yes.
not me. It's Nima. My bad. You got a question.
Testele kishe dojutamdila gaming yimai. Ani the okay, I'm gonna ask this in English as well because I think there are some English here audience. So my name is Nima, and so my question for Gisela about this meditation is that I know we were asked to keep your eyes half closed, and I know, to be honest, I've hardly done any meditation myself in the past, so I'm just a beginner. And keeping your eyes half closed is really hard because you have not done that at all in the past. And then I know, as we discussed, you get so many, I mean, you see so many distractions, and then it's really hard to focus on your breath and things. So is there any reason why you have to keep your eyes half closed? Or so, for some beginners, like, okay, to begin with, is it better to keep your eyes shut, you know, I mean, while you're practicing?
Okay, thank you. In other words, why should we need to have, why need to keep our eyes half open? In the first place, the meditation is a practice to train your mind. Eventually, to train your mind that you have control over your mind 24/7. That is the purpose. And whereas if you do a meditation only with eyes closed, not with eyes open, when eyes closed, you can meditate. With the eyes open, you cannot meditate. So you cannot manage your mind 24/7. The purpose is defeated, number one. Number two, that when you sleep, what happens to eyes? Eyes closed or eyes open? When you fall asleep, eyes closed. So the tendency is that the biology, our physiology, and our psyche, these three are all connected. Our biology, having the eyelids shutting, opening, versus our physiology, the subtle energy movement of the energy, and the movement of the energy affecting our mental state. So when you close your eyes, it affects your physiology to such extent that your mind will become sluggish. Mind will become inactive. The activity of the mind will slow down. Because when you fall asleep, you keep your eyes closed and then you will gradually fall asleep. Fall asleep means that you lose control of your mind. In sleep, you don't have the control of your mind. In dream, you don't have the control of your mind. So that's the problem. And later on, initially, it's difficult. It's difficult, but there are some precautions to take into consideration. Like, say, on my table, if you look at it very closely, we see that it's a brocade, just as on the two sides with the brocade. And the brocade is very colorful designs, colorful colors. These are not really good. So try to keep your on the table, that tablecloth and these things are pretty plain, but don't be too finicky. Even though, I mean, if there's no choice, if this is how it should be, then it's fine. Let it be like that. Don't be too particular. The next thing is that the intermittent sound, for example, like the wall clock, tick, 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 tick. These are extremely the harmful to your meditation. So we make sure that, for example, Tibet House, our wall clock, we change from the earlier the one with the ticking sound with the silent mode. We have now made it into change it to silent mode. Or now the digital clocks also there. This is one thing. In other words, intermittent sound can be very harmful to your meditation. And next is, for example, say here there's a way because of the fan, this flower is moving and is within the purview of my eyes. So there the movement is there. That is also disturbing to meditation. So any movement, like say I'm in London at the moment, the weather must be very pleasant. You don't require AC or fan. So if you do use the fan, then the movement must be stopped. The movement within the preview of your eyes must be stopped. This movement can be very disturbing. And the cushion on which you sit, the cushion must not be too hard, should not be too soft. If too soft, you can easily fall into laxity. If it's too hard, you will gradually feel the pain, and then your mind will be distracted. So these are things that we need to consider while meditating. The eyes, and initially it's difficult. With the eyes open is difficult, and gradually what we learn is we learn to separate between the eye consciousness and the mental consciousness. Okay, let us all do one thing. Scratch yourself from behind. Scratch yourself, scratch. Okay, do you feel that? Do you feel the scratch? You feel the scratch. You are not looking at it. You're not looking at it, you could feel it. So when you say the body, you feel that is a sensory consciousness. But when you say, yes, I'm feeling it, that is mental consciousness. So we have to learn how to separate the sense consciousness and the mental consciousness. So eye consciousness is a sense consciousness. So gradually, for example, say I'm looking at the screen. I'm looking at all of you. I'm looking at the screen, but my mental consciousness is not looking at you. My mental consciousness is observing my own mind. You may see that, okay, Kishore is just gazing at us. I'm not gazing at you. My eyes may be gazing at you. But mental consciousness is meditating on something else. So we have to learn how to segregate the eye consciousness, sense consciousness, and the mental consciousness. So finally, mental consciousness should be trained. Eye consciousness does not meditate. Your mental consciousness should be trained to meditate. Finally, when you become a Buddha, your mental consciousness should become a Buddha. Good.
Geshe-la, there's another question from Paldenla. Tashidele Geshe-la, how do we get rid of the tendency to get carried away with counting during meditation?
Okay. Okay, so this is a good question. So when let's say that you are counting the breath, and then by the time you reach 10, then your mind gets distracted, carried away by some other episodes of the mental stories. And say if you remain in that state, not being mindful, not being aware that you're distracted for like 6 seconds, and suddenly you remember, okay, now I'm distracted. The moment you discover that you're distracted, don't continue to let the mind flow with your distraction. If you let the mind flow with the distraction, say, for example, you're meditating and suddenly a very important work comes to your mind and your count stops and your mind starts ruminating over the work. Oh, I have very important work. And you know that you're distracted and still you let flow with the distraction, you're building a very bad habit. So the moment you come to sense that your mind is distracted or in a relaxed state, instantly bring it back to the intended object of meditation. This is so important, number one. And then number two, how do we know that we are carried away or not? So for this, we need to, we need to, once in a while, set your mind that I will keep an eye on your own mind once in a while, whether I'm meditating or whether mind is distracted or in a relaxed state. Once in a while, I'll check. So this is where this is known as some people call it as a meta-awareness. Meta-awareness, this is introspection. We need these meditations are meant to reinforce the power of your introspection and mindfulness. So with this, then you will get control of your own mind. Good.
I think that's all looks like Geshe-la.
Okay. So the till what time? Saza.
We
Okay,
need
so it's 2 o'clock sharp in India. So we're done, or what should we do
yes,
now?
yeah, we're done,
done.
Geshe-la.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la. It's been a wonderful, wonderful sessions. We really benefited a lot from today's sessions, and I hope that we will definitely continue to do it over the 12-month series of time. Thank you so much.
Welcome, welcome. So we will do an integration prayer in Tibetan, some verses for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, given that this program is initiated as a part of commemorating His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama's birth anniversary, 90th birthday anniversary. Hare Rave Korve Shingam Der Panda Dewa Malu Chumben Jere Senwa Tenzin Gyazo In Shabe Side Padu Tenyuro Chi Jambe Bawe Chidara Kemba Tang Kundo Sambo Ten Deshin Teda Gunge Jeso Dalov Jin Gyawa Deda Tamje Rabdo Ngo Tusum Shebe Gyawa Tamjik Mo Kala Chodo Nga Bate Dage Give Sawa Digu Sambo Juje Rabdung Obara Ki Chanju Simjo Rimboche, Mage Banam Gigurs, Keba Nyamba Mebayan, Kone Kondo Pebara Sho, Tongi Tawa Rimboche, Mage Banam Gigurs, Kewa Nyamba Mebayan, Kone Kondo Pebara Sho, Mulam Lobe Gewe Dembala, Kue Najo Sujin Sumet, Samjoring Embe Juba Maluba, Chosum Dembe Sedin Chuguruchi. 올라서 안 무슨 투제나 어서 선두실나 투제나 안 무슨 송어도 라서 투제나 라서 아니 뭐 좀 얼마나 미에 라서
Thank you.
Tuchenna Geshe-la.
어래
Tuchenna, thank you.
Tuchenna Geshe-la.
Tuchenna Geshe-la, Tuche.
Tuchenna.